Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dee, and today we are going to work on making some Christmas cards. Now I want to show you this one that I just made yesterday. It is a stencil set that I actually bought. I've been lately trying not to buy so many supplies unless it's something I think I really need, with the exception now of some Christmas things, because I like to make different Christmas cards every year, and so that's kind of where I'm spending a little money, with the exception of some inks that I just bought. But we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, so I'm going to show you. This is the stencil set by Spellbinders, and it's a layered Noel foliage. So we have 6 layers of the stencil, okay? Each one of them does a certain thing. And so we're gonna use, I'll show you one more time before I put this down. Isn't that cute? It's kind of vintagey looking. Okay, I'm gonna set this to the side. And now we're gonna use our stencils. Now, I did a little something different. When my sister-in-law Carol was here last week, which if you haven't seen that video, please watch it. It was just such a joy to work with her. And first of all, just having she and her husband visit was such a blessing, because it's been a few years since they've been to our house. And anyway, so we got to make a couple cards together, and it was such a fun experience. Anyway, so last week when we were working, we used some dye ink that I just had used for something else, and so we spritzed it with water, and I took kind of a bigger strip of this paper that's kind of dull on one side, shiny on the other. You can't really tell the shiny here, maybe, but anyway, so what I did was, when we were done, I spritzed my glass frame here that I used for a palette, and then I would just kind of dip the paper into the wet, and then I'd let it dry, and then I did it maybe over the next few days. I did that again. So we've got these little interesting layers of color here. Oh, do I have that shot? Yep, it's a shot. Okay. So anyway, I thought excuse me, with this one I used just the blank card stock and did the stenciling over that. But today I'm going to try it with this paper. I have no promises on what it's going to look like, so we're just going to do this together and see what happens. Okay, now for the card that I made yesterday on my own, I used Altenews Seashore die set, ink set, and then I used red Sunset. So as you can tell, you know, the colors aren't, this is not a true green, and this is not a true red. It's just kind of veering on one other side, okay, of the color wheel. So, okay, if that makes any sense to you. Okay, so this is our first layer. Now, one thing I want to show you about these Spellbinder dies is they have these little corner, and I mentioned this before, but in case you're new, we'll talk about it real briefly. But they've got these little corner markings that you can line up your piece of cardstock. Now, this one is a little smaller than what they have guided here, but that's okay. I can kind of eyeball it and get a general idea. The other thing that I love is that, I don't know if you can see it, there's this little number in the corner, one of the corners. This is 1, and then they number all the stencils after that, so you know what order to use them. Isn't that brilliant? I love that. Okay, so let me get this lined up as well as I can, evenly. It looks like I'm going to have to go a little bit outside of each corner, and you see these little pieces of tape I have ready for taping the corners, just so that the stencil will stay put. And then I have these little pieces for masking off the different colors that I don't want to mix. So for example, you know, when I get over here, this the foliage is the first one to go, but it also includes some of the blooms. So then I have to be careful and mask off the blooms so I don't get green and red mix, because then you'll have brown. We don't want brown, do we? Okay, let me make sure I got that right. Green, yep. You know what? Maybe I don't have to mask this one. It's the next one. Okay, cool. All right, now I'm not going to use the same set. I am going to use a different set. Now this is actually more blue than green, but I just wanted to use it anyway. And so we're going to give this a shot. Now the general guideline for layered stencils is you start with the lightest color with the first layer, and then you, with each layer, you either change the intensity and make it darker, or you go to a different color story. Like eventually we'll go to the pink, the darker pink. Okay, so let me get this out. This is kind of an old set. I don't think they come like this anymore, but I love Alta New inks. Okay, how? How? Pardon if I go out of shot, but I gotta, there we go. They're kind of, those ends are kind of hard to open. I'm doing it like a lefty. That's not very smart when I'm right-handed. Okay, I'm just gonna take them all out here. And this is the Cerulean Skies. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the lightest color of ink. Now, something else, remember I have these ink blending brushes that these are marked for dye ink, and that's what this ink is dye ink. I also have a set for Distress Oxide. I don't have nearly as many brushes for that, but that's what I would use because you don't want to mix the ink properties. It will ruin things. So I have this ink blending brush that's of the same color family. So I'll start with this, and we're just going to go around. And we'll see how well it works with the ink blending that's underneath there from my little, just dipping it into the glass palette. You know, this is just an old picture frame glass that I saved. I threw away the frame. And I suppose I just didn't need it anymore. And then I saved it for things like this. So this is maybe, I don't know if it needs re-inking, maybe, but I'm not going to take time to do that right now, so we will just see how it goes. Now, because the layers are dried, we shouldn't have to worry about making brown, you know, because normally red and green or pink and this kind of color would probably go muddy, but I don't think we have to worry about this because the layers underneath are dry. I did those yesterday. The last layer, I should say. And then I just cut it to the size that would work for my card base, which will show in a bit. Okay, let me see if I can get this. Some of it might not be as dark as others, but it's okay. Okay. Just close this up. And that was Mountain Mist. Okay, now we're going to carefully pull this up. And I'm going to give this stencil just a quick wipe with my chamois thing, because I want it clean when I do it the next time. Okay, so we'll set this off to the side. Now, layer number 2. Here we go. Okay, get the right number. There we go. The number 2 is here. So now I'll try to layer it evenly like I did last time. And we'll see how it goes. And this time, if you'll take a look, we have florals. So I'm going to put the green brush away, and I'm going to get out this pink brush, blending brush, I should say. And we'll start with Pink Diamond. In a future video, I want to show you what I've been working on. You know, it's been so hot here in Iowa, and actually a lot of places of the U.S. Been so hot that and we had company all last week, which I'll go into a little more detail after I get done telling you this. But anyway, so it was so hot, and with our company, I didn't want to work in the craft room. And it was, even with our window unit, I just didn't see the sense in spending the money to run the air conditioner when I didn't need to. So I worked, and I'm still not done yet. I'm still working on it. I worked on making swatch palettes of all my dye inks. And I have put them on cards, and now I'm working on using my color wheel to match the ones that go together. You know, like if I want to combine, do some ink blending together, or what just works. It just seemed like a good creative way, and I'll set this aside, good creative way to do a little work that's not in the craft room. But okay, now we've got number 3. So I'm going to line this up. Now we're going to switch back to a green color, or in the green family, because we've got foliage here. And so, let's see. I use Mountain Mist. I think I will use Volcano Lake for this one. And it's the same blending brush because it's in the same family. And we'll go from there. I did debate about getting like true greens, like for Christmas. But because I was using pink, I thought, I think I'll stick with this blue-green because I think it'll coordinate just a little better. And we're gonna see how we go. I may need to re-ink these in the near future because they are, I think, maybe just a little drier. I've had these cubes for a while, so maybe time to get out the re-inkers, huh? Okay. Okay, so while I'm doing this, put this away. I mentioned Volcano Lake, didn't I? I will take that off, and in a minute I'll tell you about our family visit because it's something that happens every year on the farm, and it's a blessed time. It really is. It's work, but we get to fellowship with family that comes to visit, and it's a blessing. Okay, I'm going to set this over here. Now, here we go with number 4. Now, this is not going to involve pink or green, okay? This is like the middles of the flowers. So after I get it lined up and I show my colors that I'm going to use, I'll talk a little bit about our family visit. So, okay, now I have these also from Altenew. These are full-size ink pads. I did bite the bullet earlier this summer, and I bought some new ink colors that I did not have, and they're the fresh dye ink, which they used to be like the crisp dye ink, which is what these little mini ones are, and then they stop. I don't know if they just changed the name or if it's a different formula, but anyway, it's a dye ink, so both of them are dyes. So anyway, I will use one of these colors. I think maybe since we have a little deeper, I'm going to use this one, and this is called Snapdragon. So anyway, how about the family visit? Let's get going here. A lot of Kurt's family, and he grew up about 2 miles from where we live now. He grew up on a farm, obviously, and he's the only one of his 7 brothers and sisters who chose to farm locally. There's another brother that was in the ag industry, but he's Kurt's oldest brother. Anyway, so every year for I don't know how many years, it's been a long time since our kids were really little, they come back, whoever comes back for a summer visit, and it goes on, anywhere between a week and a half and 2 weeks. I think it's gotten a tad shorter with the years, but people's, schedules and things change. Anyway, so some of the people stay at our house, and the rest of them stay at Kurt's folks' house. And so it just finished, basically, the visit finished last weekend. And so we had, of course, Carol and Terry, Kurt's oldest sister and brother-in-law from Denver, who stayed with us here. And then we had his oldest brothers, Don and Lillian, who live in Ames, and they came and stayed with us. And then our daughters came at 2 different times, so they weren't here at the same time. But anyway, it was a great visit, and everybody else stayed up there, with the exception of one brother who stayed in a hotel, just because, he's trying to be thinking of others, I guess, which is good. Anyway, so it's a great time, and our niece from Omaha and her kids brought their new puppy down. They've had her a couple months. And she and our dog Stewie just had a ball together. They chased and ran and just rolled around together. It was just such a fun visit. So, okay, now we have number 5. And did you notice, the little markings that I use with the Snapdragon ink? Get this lined up as well as possible. And this is number 5, so we only have this and then one more layer to go, and then we're done. Okay, now, so we used Mountain Mist, Volcano Lake, I think because, I think I want to have it be a little greener. We're going to start with this, and we'll use the same brush because really it's kind of a bluish green ink, so we're just gonna I'm glad I noticed this. This is where we need to do extra masking because they also have some parts of the flowers that are here, and I really don't want to color them green or blue. I just don't. So I want to save them for pink. I think, maybe I need another little piece of tape for this one. And we'll protect that area. So then we'll be safe to mask. Okay, I'm going to dip it into the ink again. And we're just going to stencil away. I love stenciling. Probably not as much as embossing or die cutting, but I still love it. I love seeing how the layers come together, especially layering dies. It seems to be that lately when I've bought stencils, I've only chosen the layering ones because there's so much more ooh, look at that. Ah, yikes. I better stop. Just a second. That's one I missed. Ugh, we don't want that to be green or blue, do we? Okay. Anyway, I love layering stencils, so they're fun. More versatile, I think. And they just add a nice little look. This really does remind me, and I'm sure the designer planned this, well, I would guess anyway, kind of a vintagey looking Christmas, like an old Christmas card with the design of the flowers and the font of the Noel. I love it. Okay, so let's close that up. And then we'll oh, no, we don't want to take it off, do we? Because we have our floral things to do. Now, I don't think I need to mask off the Noel because I think those little bits of the florals are just small enough. I'm not going to be, going like this with the blending brush as much. So we're going to take all these off. And then we will be ready to do that. So we are going to go with a deeper color now. I think I'll go with Razzleberry. And get our pink ink pad, blending brush. We're just going to do this. when I get my little swatch, ink swatch palette and chart done, I will show you. Okay, so, and I will tell you. Well, now I need to be careful. I probably should have masked that one up. Maybe I should do that. We want to be safe than sorry, right? Safe than sorry. Anyway, I've been working on it in the living room, you know, like I told you. Well, so anyway, before the company came, our family came, Kurt saw me doing it, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm making an ink swatch collection so I can, you know, have it for reference." And he's like, "For what?" And so I told him, well, when you want to blend colors together or use colors together, it's kind of nice to know which ones go exactly together. And like I said earlier, it's really just a way of me being able to be creative while it wasn't convenient to be in the craft room. So, and I will use that for sure. For sure. Well, that's really, I may have to use some alcohol to get this one dry, but we'll get most of it off. And sometimes those darker inks, nope, it's not underneath, it's totally here. Those darker inks are harder to remove the ink from, but if I remember right, you can use rubbing alcohol to get it clean. So I will just set that aside and work on that at another time. Okay, number 6. Here we go. 6 in the corner. I hope I'm liking this by the time I'm done. We'll see when I'm all finished what my opinion is. Next time I may just stick with a plain piece of paper, cardstock. Okay. Now, I will use the darkest, okay, I used Crisp Lagoon. I will use the darkest one, Galactic Stream. For this is going to create the shadowing, okay? It's just so cool, guys. I love it. I think I'll be making several cards like this for my Christmas cards this year. You know, the people that I follow on YouTube who are card makers, a lot of them have done Christmas in July videos. And so with, you know, people here, I didn't really have a lot of time to plan things out. And so I thought, well, today is August 1st, but we're gonna do a Christmas in July theme today. So I think back when I was a kid, once in a while they would do like a Christmas in August, but, or maybe when I was a teenager, kind of as a marketing ploy, you know, kind of like how it is now. Okay, I think we're there. Okay, so put away the Galactic Stream and carefully lift that up. Look at that. Now I have mixed emotions. Really mixed emotions. It almost looks dirty to me. Oh boy. This might not be what I thought, but you know what? Card making is part, you know, creating something you love, and part playing and part experimenting. So sometimes you end up with something that you're not crazy about. So I'm going to lift this up so you can see. See that? It does kind of look dirty, doesn't it? So maybe this background was not the best choice, but now I know. Yep, now I know. I think some of the areas that were underneath, like right here, maybe this color of green just was not dark enough to cover it up. So that might be something I think about in the future, is instead of starting out with a really light ink on this first layer or first 2 layers, maybe I should start with something darker. So yeah, I think I'll consider that. Okay, so I'm gonna heat this with the heat tool and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've put my brushes away and I have put the palette away, the glass palette that I use, I have this kind of a scrap of red cardstock, and I've had a little while. It's in a tote that has no lid, and I think the sunlight has just barely made it fade, but if I turn it around, it won't be noticed. So I have my glue here. So what we'll do first, and even though it looks kind of dirty, I think I'll use it. I will. So we'll just see how it goes. So I have to tell you a short little story about this glue bottle. You know how I love so much. And I lost the rest of them. They're somewhere in the craft room. I just have no idea where, because it came in a pack of 6 when I ordered them. Okay, come on. Oh, now it's not wanting to work. Okay, anyway, so I ordered new ones and I got them. So this glue bottle I used yesterday to make the example I showed you of the Noel Christmas card. And guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to put the stopper back on. So I'm going to do this one-handed right now. Nope, I guess I'll wait until I'm done with this. Okay, so just briefly interrupting myself. I'm going to put this on, and I cut a very, very narrow margin. I rarely do this, like 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And I just was kind of trying to experiment and see. It's not my favorite, but it does work. And so anyway, I had left this open since yesterday. I thought, oh no, no. The glue is going to be stuck in here in the nozzle. Not going to be able to get it out. It came out. In fact, it came out earlier when I first started it, when I checked on it before I started filming, compared to just now, which is crazy. Okay, now I'm going to glue the back of this. I guess I didn't really need to take that off. And we will glue this on the back of the card base. And the card base, just a reminder, is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to tell you a trick that I just heard one of the ladies I follow. Her name is Natalie from NB Cards. I think it's called NB Cards. She's from the UK, and she has a lot of great tips and techniques. I've learned some things from her that are pretty awesome. Okay, I'm going to turn this over and smooth it out like this. So while we're letting this set up, then she talked about basically saving a step. You know, when you cut your full sheets of cardstock that are 8.5 by 11, you cut them in half, you get 2 card bases that are 5.5 by 4 1/4. Well, and I've done that for years. I've cut it in half lengthwise, so at the 5.5 mark, and then I've taken my embossing, no, what's the word? My scoring tool, you know, like something like this. And I have used my scoring buddy or scoring board and gone down the middle for each piece. Well, she said, let's just pretend that this is the full 8.5 by 11. She said, you cut this way, lengthwise, so that would be, well, the opposite direction. And then you cut that with your cutter, and then you do your scoring the opposite direction. I'm not explaining this very well. Anyway, you only have to score once, and then you cut. So you have, before you cut once and have to score twice, this time you only have to cut once and score once. It was just like brilliant. I love that. Actually, you score once and then you cut once. It's the opposite of the order of what you're supposed to do. Okay, guys, here you go. I think I will use it maybe for some of the parts that look a little dingy. Maybe I'll add something like some sequins or something to kind of brighten it up. As long as they're kind of muted, because this whole color scheme is muted except for the dark Noel, you know, the dark part of Noel. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy this video. And for any new subscribers I have, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. And like I want to remember to tell you every time is, If you like the video, please like it. If you aren't subscribed yet, please subscribe and share this if you know somebody who might enjoy a card making video or a card tip or something. Okay? So, okay, guys, I hope you have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.